It's now time for What's Up Asheville, sponsored by the City of Asheville, with the host, Mr. Sam Parada, and here he is.
Hello Asheville, welcome to What's Up Asheville here on WRES 100.7 FM. I am your host, Sam Parada, Communication Specialist with the City, and today our topic of conversation is going to be Boards and Commissions Part 2 with two brand new guests, the Smiths. Correct? Both of you Smith, yeah.
Yes.
Alex
Yes.
Smith and Michelle Smith. How are you today?
Good.
Doing really well. Thanks,
Doing
Sam.
well.
Thanks
Awesome.
for having us.
So both of you are, I want to say, brand new to your positions. Even though you've been with the city for a couple of months now, I want to say, well, you've been with the city for a few years, Michelle.
Almost 6.
6. But you were with the legal department.
Yes.
And now you are in your new position. Do you want to tell me more about that?
I'm the new Deputy City Clerk. Prior to that, I was the paralegal in the City Attorney's Office. So for me, it was just moving around the corner on the same floor at City Hall.
Right. And Alex, you are new. You said you are originally from Atlanta.
Yes.
And then Portland, and now you're with us. So I just want to know a little bit, like, what brought you into local government?
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Alex Smith. I use they, them pronouns. And I'm, as you said, the new assistant city clerk. So what brought me to working in local government in Asheville? Previous to this, I mostly worked in higher education in a variety of different roles. One of them working in accessibility. So one thing that's really important to me, given my educational background and as well previous work history, is access and equity. So getting involved with local government, I thought would be a really great way to ensure that we are being transparent about the work that we do, that people are getting equitable access to their elected or appointed representatives, to make sure that folks understand what it is that the city, what we do, how we do it, that we can clear up any confusion around what goes on within the walls of City Hall.
Yes.
And to try to help be a part of that process and support however I can, and with boards and commissions specifically being primarily the population that I work with. It's been really great to get involved with seeing how just local residents here in the city of Asheville can get, or Buncombe County residents as well for some of the boards and commissions, can get involved and really kind of take part and be part of the decision-making process.
Yeah, and you mentioned the people participating in the process, and I think that is a great way to start with the idea of. I just thought about this the other day. Funny enough, that when I was in civics classes, when I was in like middle school, high school, we went over like federal, state level of governance, but we never really went over local.
Yeah.
And I feel like living in a city, that's really what affects you the most. So really participating and being involved, we have the process of engagement, and engagement means that it's a two-way street. So we can inform you of whatever's happening. At the same time, we want you to come and tell us. So I think this is how boards and commissions is really important and impactful at a lower level of decision making to a point. Yes.
It's also a fundamental brick. It's a place you could start locally with a concept or an idea or something that you feel strongly about that can excel to a state or federal level, depending on what it is. So boards and commissions is a great way to have your voice be heard, or to find out if it is something you're passionate about. There may be a board commission. If not, maybe it is something that needs to be looked into. But this is a way to start getting more involved. There's a lot of people that sign up to speak at city council meetings, and what they are passionate about may or may not be on the agenda. A board or commission, you are completely well to come in and speak or make public comment or submit emails or another way to be heard. And a board and commission can allow you to do that.
Yeah, and I think I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Let's take a step back and have one of you tell me what exactly is boards and commissions, because that's something that really gets lost. We say that phrase a lot, but
Sure, yeah. So So boards and commissions can be established in a variety of different ways, whether by resolution, ordinance, or state statute. And once they've been created, typically a lot of the ones that primarily we work with within the clerk's office would be advisory in function and in nature of what they do. But essentially, what it boils down to is local residents having an opportunity to join the conversation in creating recommendations for policy, or to gather research and public input about different areas that council is interested in. So maybe they have different priorities within their larger 2036 vision, or they also once a year will try to boil those down and maybe narrow some of them a little bit into annual goals. And those boards and commissions will then try to work to provide folks that have an area of expertise or lived experience that they can contribute to that conversation and bring together that those different opinions and research, and have outside members come in and give presentations about a specific topic, gather that in a way that is a little bit more condensed and palatable, maybe, easier to digest, so they can bring that back to council to give them those recommendations or those opinions that they can then use to inform some of their decision making.
So these are basically meetings where people come together and find what could be done to, improve city services, just city in general, city related things. I had it at the tip of my tongue and I just forgot. So, these recommendations now have a backup. You have your research, you have your input from community members, and it's not just, I'm not saying that speaking in front of council doesn't have its merits. It really does. It's very important. But when you come with a recommendation that was brought up through the process of a boards and commissions, you're backing your claim with much more than simply 3 minutes talking, which it sounds like a lot. If you're practicing speaking, speak for 3 minutes about anything. It gets long, but this really brings you that research that to hopefully make an impact. Again, starting at the low level, the very base of what council will hear eventually.
Absolutely. And sometimes, if it's instead of the one lone voice, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on how big your board or commission is. Sometimes that can make for a bigger, stronger voice as much as the 3 minutes. So a lot of times people will feel more engaged, because whether the board or commission meets once a month or twice or whatever the case may be, it's something that they can, if they're passionate and that's very important to them, then it is very much keeping this on the front burner, so to speak, keeping it moving and making sure that it's getting the spotlight and attention that the topic deserves.
Do you know how many boards and commissions we have?
Right now, we have over 30. Now, not all of them. Some of them are going to be joint boards and commissions. So we use that language just to clarify. We use boards and commissions interchangeably a lot. So sometimes the name will be the Asheville-Buncombe Riverfront Commission or the Alcohol Beverage Control Board. So just to clarify that point. But a lot of times they can have appointments from the county or from the city. Now, primarily in terms of the advisory boards that we as in the city clerk's office primarily work with and help to manage, those are going to be more around 20 or so that we have currently, and they can be dissolved if their scope of their task that they've been, if it was, let's say it was appointed by council and that body, that group of people was created by council through a resolution or an ordinance, then perhaps they have a task that they feel that they've completed or to the best of their ability come to a conclusion with, then there is a process where they can be dissolved. But right now where we have is right around 20 or so for advisory boards.
Good to know. And who makes up the body of a board or commission?
Sure. So, and it can vary depending on what the scope of that board or commission is. So, for example, the Board of Electrical Examiners. Now, that is a highly specialized trade. So you really have to, the qualifications that are required to become a member of that board are pretty high. You do have to have that background and that experience working as an electrician. And there are various membership requirements for the different, I think there's like around like 10 or 12 members of that board total. And some of them are journeymen, which as someone who's not an electrician, I don't know what that means, but
entry level.
Yeah. So, but leave it to say that, or suffice to say that, so for certain boards or commissions, they are appointed by City Council. Some are appointed by the mayor. So, for instance, our housing authority for the city of Asheville, those members are actually appointed by the mayor. And another example, sometimes for the Riverfront Commission, those folks actually have membership that are appointed by different agencies and community groups. So RiverLink being a local, I believe it's a nonprofit here in Asheville, they have a member who sits on that board as well. So sometimes they can be, the composition of the total board can vary because of what the work that they do, and they feel that they want to have representation from a certain group to kind of be part of those conversations.
And so some of these boards and commissions require a level of expertise and experience. What happens if I am simply very passionate about a specific topic and I can see that change either needs to happen or I can make a recommendation or help craft it? Do I need to have experience for every single board and commission if I want to apply?
No, that's a really good question. So some boards, and we try to be very mindful about how we advertise those different vacancies. If a board has a member who leaves, or the end of their term and they don't want to be reappointed, you don't always have to serve the entirety of your term. Sometimes life happens, and we understand that. We want to be respectful that these are volunteers. At the end of the day, these are just local community members who are volunteering their time and their expertise.
Yeah.
And of course, now I forgot the question.
If you need like experience.
Qualifications. Yes. So some boards do require a level of expertise and qualification. Some of them don't. So we try to be mindful when we are advertising for those various boards or commissions. If you do have to come to it for the Historic Resources Commission, for instance, they have the preference that you do have some kind of background in kind of the protection of historic buildings, and maybe you have a background in architecture or something like that would lend itself well to those conversations.
Yeah.
Whereas some of our advisory boards, you don't have to have that. You don't have to be an urban forester to become part of the Urban Forestry Commission. You could maybe just be passionate about.
You like trees?
Yep, you like trees. You like trees. You want to protect the environment. Maybe that's something that you're very passionate about, and that's what brought you to that, to applying for that board or commission. So you just want to make sure that as you're looking into the vacancies that are listed, we put them on our website whenever there are new positions available, when someone leaves or something like that, that we try to make sure that that's very clearly stated of whether or not you do have to have those specific qualifications. And it's always a good idea, if you are thinking about getting involved, to watch some of the meetings to see, is this a conversation that I could see myself being at that table and being able to contribute and be able to understand what we're talking about. And, everyone here, we're not all experts in local government. As you said earlier, a lot of us have that limited knowledge from our civics class or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, so all of this is great. At the same time, what you brought up, Michelle, is like, maybe you don't have the requirements for all of the for the spot to be a member of the board, or maybe you just don't have the time.
Absolutely.
But you can still
absolutely
come and talk, because there's public
absolutely
public hearing.
Public engagement is extremely important and vital. You don't want to have something siloed to where it's just this group of people and that's all it is. Absolutely not. We want the public engagement. If you don't have the time, or for whatever reason, the expertise or something like that, but you are passionate about the subject, please feel free to submit your comments, make a public comment. Some people submit email. It just depends on how you choose to voice to be heard. But we absolutely want as much engagement as possible. This city has a big footprint, and the residents that are here are very engaged in what happens, from everything from the bear-proof trash cans to the tree canopy to historic resources to the African American heritage. It's where your passion is. There is a strong possibility that there is a board or commission that you can either serve on, be a part of, be heard. There are numerous festivals that are coming up that are, we're hoping to broaden the footprint again, to bring more communities in. There is a neighborhood festivals program that is September 14th that is to bring in various communities together. There's food trucks and entertainment, but it's also so you can learn more about either your own neighborhood, maybe you're new to it, or you just want to learn about your neighbors that are adjacent to you. Like, who's next door to me?
Yeah, no, and last year it
neighborhood?
was a great way to meet people.
So that is exactly. So there are a couple of these that are coming up. There is a block party coming up that's on September 26th. That is both of the neighborhood festival and the block party are in Martin Luther King Park. So these are ways to, some of the block party involves a lot of the legacy communities that have been around that are strong in this area. So these are ways to meet your community members and to meet your other people. And you might meet other board members. There's a distinct possibility that there will be a table set up where Boards and Commissions is going to have one, but you will see one for African American heritage, tree forest, whatever the case may be, where you could learn a little bit more about their free events. So you can feel free to bring the family, bring a pet.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are all really good points. And I want to add that on top of all of that, this is Sam speaking from the heart right now. I know that the word government is a very, no kind of word. Not everyone likes the government. I understand that fully. And maybe you don't trust the process, you don't trust the people who are representing you. And, that is okay for you to have those feelings. Members of boards and commissions, however, are not really affiliated. They're not city employees. We don't have an agenda, or they don't have an agenda, I want to say, because, we appoint them, but they're free to make their research, their recommendations, have their topics brought up. So this is a great way, it's a bridge between city and the public. So if you want to, speak out and have your voice heard in a way that is your opinion and your advices, I think it's a great way to do it.
It is, and they are not, I'm going to use the word partisan based. These are groups of people where it is not just a one thought process and that's it. The whole concept for this is to bring the varying opinions together to be able for everybody to be heard. Because you just never know. You might hear something, you don't know anything about their background or their politics or anything like that, and you don't have to. To serve or to be involved doesn't require that for any of the boards and commissions that the city is promoting and wants more input for.
Yes, and so, anytime we talk about engagement or input, we like to be able to close that loop and tell you how did your input actually influence whatever we're doing. And I think the best way for that is city council meetings.
Sure. They can speak at a city council meeting, the board and commission. One of the great things that's now, I'm not sure if it's known throughout, so I'll take a moment.
Sure.
The agendas have a QR code that will give you that. It's also been translated in Spanish, so you can also look at it that way. You can also apply to a board and commission. Let's say English is not your first language. We have services for interpreters, for abilities to be able to help open up the door. I wouldn't want someone to think, oh, well, I don't know if I can. This is not my first language. We will do everything we can to accommodate all of those.
And it's not just language barriers, but childcare and transportation. Are we doing transportation, or is that? I know that we've talked about it in the past.
Yeah, there is. So for board and commission members, because we recognize that not everyone, if the meetings are in person, which to clarify, they're not always meeting in person. Some boards decide to meet virtually, and some decide to meet in person, and it varies. But for the folks that are meeting in person, we offer all board and commission members the opportunity to get a transportation pass so that they can use the City of Asheville's public transportation for the entirety of the time that they are serving as a Board of Commission member. And it's a free service that we're providing to them so that if, and let's say maybe they do have a car or something like that, but it's in the shop or it's broken down.
Yeah.
Then you always have that backup option to be able to use public transportation to attend some of those meetings. So we are trying as best we can to remove barriers. As Michelle said, our vacancy flyer, so when we do advertise for different Board of Commission openings, we translate that into Spanish. We're working to get the application itself to apply to become a Board of Commission member also translated into Spanish. We have interpreter services, so if a member is appointed who needs to have an interpreter there at those meetings, that there is a process they can follow to apply for that, to get someone there to have them help provide that equal access is what we're trying to really achieve.
It sounds like you're doing so much.
Well, and we're also wanting to make sure that we are ADA compliant.
Yeah.
If you have hearing impairments, all of those kinds of things, please don't let something like that hinder you from saying, well, maybe I couldn't do it. You absolutely can do it.
The only thing that's stopping anyone at this moment, based on what I'm hearing from, participating in the boards and commissions, is either the time allotted to when the meetings happen and yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
Because, I feel like if we're missing anything, if there's any other physical obstacle, I'm sure you can talk with us and we can think of a solution.
Absolutely. And everyone is open to emailing boards with an S at ashevillennc.gov. Any ideas, any questions. I don't know if I could do it because of this or that. And it may be something that we've just never thought of.
Yes. And
it's just never come up and we were like, how did we miss? Oh my gosh.
That is the importance of input and engagement.
This is where we get to say, please don't hesitate. We will respond as timely, as quickly as we can. So it may take us a minute or two, but we will definitely be able to respond back. But please feel free to not hold back in ideas or thoughts or what about this or what about that. We may be able to provide you the pathway. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, feel free to ask if we can find you the doorway or the pathway or maybe help get you where you're wanting to go.
Mm-hmm. And, if the application process becomes complicated or confusing, or you can't find it, for example, we'll get into the application process in a second, which is the meat of the topic today. It just, shows how important this is. Email as well. Like, hey, I want to participate, but I don't know where to find the application. Again, that's boards@ashevillennc.gov.
Yeah, it's BOARDS.
I know I have an accent.
Make sure.
Oh no, I just want to make sure.
Make sure you add the S.
At the S.
Yeah.
Yes, because we have and it's .gov.
.gov.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Alex, applications. Where can people apply, and what is the process?
Sure. So, currently we are doing appointments and vacancies on a quarterly basis. So, to try and just conserve resources. So we are advertising them. Usually the advertisement will go up, stay up for usually a month or two.
And this is in our website.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's on our website. We talk about it here. We talk about it when we go to local events like the Festival of Neighborhoods, like the block party that's coming up. Both of those are in September.
Yes.
Yep. And we also put out print flyers. We put them all around the city. Whoever is willing to have us, we will put those up. So once somebody sees that information, they go to the website, they maybe look at the annual report. That's another great place to look for what a Board of Commission does. What are they working on, or what have they been working on for this past year?
And sorry, just to be super clear, it's on the website on the City Clerk department page. So when you go to ashevillennc.gov, on the top right corner, you're going to have departments. You just click that tab, find City Clerk, and you'll find all the information you need on boards and commissions there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, on the City Clerk's page, there's a subpage that is just specifically about boards and commissions. Each board or commission has its own web page underneath that, where you can see what their total composition is. So if you're curious, how many members are there, or how many of those members are appointed by City Council compared to for instance, I brought up the Riverfront Commission, who has outside community members from Riverlink and other agencies in Asheville that are appointed to it. You can see that information. And that's also where I was mentioning annual reports. So every year, a Board or Commission has a requirement to prepare an annual report that goes to council. And council will then review all of those and like we said, there are a lot of them. For all of these different reports, they get reviewed by City Council so they can get an update of what they're working on, what they've completed in this past year, and kind of get to see if there's an adjustment that needs to be made in the scope of a Board or Commission. And then that's also on the Board or Commission's website. You can also see most of them will record or live stream their meetings. Sometimes if it's an in-person meeting, it might just be in person. It might not have a recording associated with it. But that's another great place where you can see what was said during that meeting. How do they conduct it? What is the chair's role in terms of kind of corralling the membership and leading the meeting, and the staff liaison,
Yes.
who is typically a city staff member, not always, depending on the Board or Commission.
Yes.
And they help guide and make sure that we're being timely and we're getting to our agenda items that the meeting said that they wanted to address in that specific time frame.
Yeah, and I mentioned that it's not the boards are not composed of city staff, but you will have someone to help guide. And this is not someone who helps make the decisions, but simply keeps people on track, because again, this is not something you learn in civics class. So how you meet the quorum, how to vote, when to call for the meeting to be done.
Yes, and
This all is a process.
yes, and there is a liaison that can help answer questions or guide or be able to be like, wait a minute, what do we do first? Do we do this first or do we do that? Those kinds of things. And then you actually have the clerk's office. You have Maggie Burleson, who is the city clerk. She's amazing.
Yes.
You have Alex and you have myself. And we are definitely available. But each Board of Commission has a liaison that is kind of the bridge person to help between the Board of Commission and the city staff person, or the department director, or even a council member, anything like that, so that we make sure that we keep the lines of communication open.
Yes.
And make it as transparent as possible.
Yeah, because a lot of the decisions that we as city staff make sometimes are affected by, some of the recommendations that they give. And
Absolutely.
we keep our ears open just to make sure that we are not going in a completely different direction. And oftentimes, a couple of the boards and commissions meetings that I've been to and that I've witnessed, I've seen members of the legal team there to help answer those questions, because we're not going to just throw you out to the walls.
And
Yeah.
the legal team in the city of Asheville is phenomenal. The city attorney's office, there are lawyers that advise.
And you don't say
each-
that just because you came from the legal.
Yeah,
Not
just
biased
because
at all,
I'm not
no.
biased at all, but I will say they are fabulous. But there is a legal person as a staff member for the city of Asheville, so that the board can make sure that it maintains all the legal requirements, open meeting laws, all of the requirements that are necessary to make sure that a board or commission complies.
Well, again, apply, become involved. If you're passionate on something, just go to the City Clerk's site on our website and just go over the many boards and commissions that we have and see if there's one that you want to be a part of. And even if you don't make it, or you don't have the time to put into the work, at least show up, send an
Absolutely.
email. This is a great avenue to have your voice be heard, because it really, I don't want to say trickles down, because it goes up. It makes its way up to council, or it could
Sure,
eventually.
absolutely.
So it's a great way to make an impact in your community.
That's the idea.
And really, the application is not hard. We've tried to make it as quick and easy and painless as possible. So please
You just
apply.
have to submit your resume.
Yeah, there's a couple questions on it, maybe some short answers, some multiple choice kind of questions that you would answer. You can submit a resume. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes though. So please apply. Please get
apply.
involved.
Well, Thank you so much, and thank you for bringing up the Festival of Neighbors happening
Sure.
again on September 4th.
September 14th, from I think it's from 10 to 3, and then we have one that is the block party. That
The
is
career fair block party, yes.
Yes,
I
it
just
is.
want to always throw that in.
that is September 26th. So please feel free to come. Bring a friend, bring a family member, bring the kids, bring a pet.
Have a good time.
Please come out and have a good time, and you can learn all about your boards and commissions.
You can come see us.
Yes.
You get to come see us.
Well, thank you so much, Alex and Michelle. It was a pleasure having you both here. And
Sam.
thank you for explaining really the process and everything, because it's confusing. It's a confusing topic.
It can be.
But again, email boards@ashevillec.gov with an S.
You got it.
And yeah, hope to hear from you and see you in some of the meetings. But sadly, that's all the time we have for today. So I guess we'll see you again next time here on What's Up Asheville. Thanks for coming and listening.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having us.
You've been listening to What's Up Asheville, sponsored by the City of Asheville in collaboration with WRS 100.7 FM. This program will re-air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30. Thank you for listening.